Hello, I'm Andy. This is the first episode of my new channel, FishFab, and the first project is this one. Right, here I am sitting next to the first project ever on FishFab. It's a good friend of mine, Dan. He owns this Subaru Impreza Hawkeye. I'll put a link below to his Instagram so you can follow him. And basically all the videos that will be on this will be watching it progress from a fast street car, a very fast street car, into a much more track stroke race orientated car. So the path that we're going to be taking with this car is going to be roll cage, carbon fibre roof, fiberglass doors, fiberglass bonnet, fiberglass boot. We're going to blank and cut out all the tyre well in the back, so that's all going to be flat. Obviously we'll probably put some bead rolls in for strength, just to sort of maintain that stiffness and also sort of make it look smart. And then maybe from that we might space frame the front end. We haven't made the decision on that. And then when we've got everything in, it's all ready, we'll also bare metal the whole of the underneath, and then we'll give it a coat of epoxy primer, and then we'll stick a coat of Raptor on it, and pretty much hopefully then it will leave here on its wheels pretty much ready to go. And I think it's going to be ready for the new engine that's going to go in. So that's why I said if you follow his Instagram, you should be able to follow what happens after this channel. Hopefully we'll keep in touch with him, and you'll see. But except from that, better get on with it. Right, here's the car as it is at the moment. We took all the doors off to get easy access, so we're not fighting with the doors, putting the roll cage in. Dan and I have completely stripped everything out of it. Dan's took all the sound deadening out, stripped all the loom out and everything. There is nothing left in there now. We've removed all the little brackets and bits that we don't think we need, sort of safe weight, and just keep it a bit cleaner inside. And all we've done is just flicked a little coat of primer over it, doesn't go rusty, while we're putting the cage in. Right, let's crack on and get the cage in. Next step, main hoop. Right, when you set up these front plates, you'll see that this line here follows this seam here, this part. So just make sure that's your starting point. And then there's a dimension on the drawing from there to the rear tube. And it puts it right in this corner as tight as can be. Alright, so that basically is a starting point. So as long as you know that that end starts there, it all makes sense. And then also on the drawing here, there's an angle here of 82 degrees. Set that 82 degrees, and then I've put a tack in the corner, done the same on the other side, and then I've also done a couple of checks dimensionally to make sure it's in the center. So I've measured as much as I can to get it in the middle, and then all I've done then, drop the bottom into that corner there, and basically knocked this tube across this way until it touches up here, so it's all nice and tight against that corner, which is what it wants to be. So as you can see there, it's a tight fit, and that's how a roll cage needs to be, a nice tight fit. And then obviously once I've got that one in place, I've done the same to the other side. And then you'll see I've now also put the roof X, which hopefully will be in the tie laps, but I'm not sure, I haven't lost the footage. And then I've also put these little crossbars in. Right then, we're ready to put the crossbar in here, the door bar. And basically we've got the two bits here, down here, that's what we're going to put in first. What I have done is on the dimensions, there's a drawing, and I've marked them off here and here. So you can see I've got a starting point. Now this tube is what it will interconnect into, this one here, the dash bar, but there's a good chance I'm just going to knock that out of the way because it's going to get in the way. So obviously I've got a bottom bar and I've got a top bar, and they'll go in like so. But the top bar will actually need cutting into here to get it to fit. So what I'm going to do now is eye up the top two lines that I've got, put a mark down here, and then basically I'm going to cut this out. Now with stuff like this, the neater you can keep it and the tighter the joint, the easier it's going to be welding at the end. Alright, you're not going to get it perfect every time, but the tighter you get it, the easier it will be to weld. So what I tend to do on this is, even though instead of ploughing a great big hole for it and whacking it and go, yeah, it's done, what I tend to do is I creep up on it. So you'll probably see me in this, I will do a quick speed up of this footage, but basically you'll probably see me try this about 15 million times, but to get it as tight as I can without a bigger gap. And alright, sometimes you might get it wrong, but the tighter you can get it, the better you can get it. So really it's just a matter of, at the beginning, is to having a good guess where you want it, mark it, cut some out, keep trying it until it fits right, you've got a nice tight joint. This will have to be fully welded all the way around here when it's done. So it is important that you get a good fit to make it easier. And that's it really. So I'll start marking out and start cutting up. It's in. So after all that fettling, I've probably got, it's not perfect, there's about a 2mm gap at the top, but obviously that'll be easy to fill with a bit of weld. Obviously when you weld tube, it's not always perfectly in the corner anyway. It's nice and tight at the bottom, but obviously you know, it's not in final position yet. I just need to make sure that I've took enough out, because obviously the more I take out, the difference this goes, the more I take out, the more it goes that way. So I think now just sort of mock up all the tubes in, see what it looks like. So all we're going to do now is try one more piece in. Hold on, I don't know how I get out of here now. How the hell are you going to get out of here? Hold on. This bit here I'm going to put in. Now this also needs relieving in here just a little bit, because it won't fit in the right position until I've notched this out, but this is in the right place. It's near enough to give me a starting point. It fits in snugly, so I'll just again just take a little bit out here until it fits. So I'm just marking it with a chisel because it's what I've got to hand, and then I'm just going to grind a bit out and make it fit. Right, now this is close enough to be able to see where it's all going. So the next thing really is going to be to take this all out, mark where it's going to touch, so where I'm going to weld it, so then I'll just clean the paint off now, and also because these tubes, all I do is I just rub a little bit of Scotch-Brite over the end, take it off, because I've been grinding in here as well. I just run the airline through and blow out any crap that's on the inside. Obviously it won't take out oil, but if there's any filings, it just gets rid of that, because any oxide or anything that's come off the belts and that are in the bottom, obviously if it gets into your weld, it's going to cause you problems later. So now it's all mocked up fairly close. We'll just get that done, then we'll put it back together properly. When I take these out, the first things I'm going to do is just double check the dimensions, make sure they're right, because obviously they're the markings I'm using to set up my tube, so I need to make sure they're right. Next job. Right, I tend to use just a wire wheel on a grinder, take paint off, mainly because it's quick, and also it just stops you from removing too much of the metal. If you start using a sanding disc or something like that, you'll take the paint off and you'll actually be removing the material, which is obviously quite important when you want to weld it, and it's not like welding tin foil because you've cleaned it up over well. So easiest way to do it. But if you're going to use one of these, make sure you have one of these, because it flings off tiny little hairs of metal, which is not very nice. Right, now that you've cleaned it all up, you've got all bare metal here that you've exposed. Don't leave it, just put, this is a bit of weld primer, that's all I use. Something's better than nothing, so I just give that a big squirt, and then when I come to weld the caging, I'll remove this from where I'm welding. But if there's anything that gets in the weld, obviously it's not going to do any harm, that's what it's designed for. But also it means that all the bits that I don't weld and don't get hot, that are bare metal, have still got some sort of coverage on it. So that's what we put. Doesn't have to be a masterpiece because it's all going to get painted later. Alright, let that dry for a little bit. I'm going to just double check my measurements and then start tack welding the tubes in. These are definitely snug, which probably means it's right. Bit of gusset on there. That gusset seems to line up nicely with the centre line, so it can't be too bad. Right, so that's the easy bit really in some ways, making the first side. The hard bit is making the other side look identical, and I know, you know, it doesn't matter, but it does. So yeah, happy with that. We've got one more bar to go in, and that's the next bit. Right, I think that's a real good point to finish this episode. I think we're doing really well. It looks starting to look like a roll cage, which is what it's supposed to look like. Yeah, I think we're doing really well. So hopefully on the next episode, we'll be fitting this tube here. We've got some more tubes in the front and we've got some more tubes in the rear. So we've got plenty of work left. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode and hopefully we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.